We've got a ton to discuss with my next guest, State Senator Neil Anderson, about firearms and other laws that Governor J.B. Pritzker has enacted just in the past 3 or 4 days, and all the movement we're seeing in the courts. Welcome back, Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk, and of course, Friday we had the ruling out of the Illinois Supreme Court that ultimately upheld the state's gun and magazine ban. And we also have some movements out of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, where you have the plaintiffs there noting that the judges in the Seventh Circuit, before they issue their opinion on that, which we don't know when that's going to come out, the plaintiffs in recent days have asked the judges to note the butterfly knife ban that was found unconstitutional out of Hawaii, saying that dangerous and unusual is not a standard that they used when they struck down the state of Hawaii's butterfly knife ban. But you've got all these things as the governor also signed a new measure that allows for lawsuits against the state's firearms industry, and that now has been challenged by the National Shooting Sports Foundation in federal court in the Southern District. To react to all of this and more, State Senator Neil Anderson with us here on WMAY. Senator, thanks for taking time. Let's go ahead and get your reaction to Friday's ruling out of the Illinois Supreme Court.
Yeah, great to be with you, Greg. As you just said there's a lot going on, obviously, in the courts and with all these new laws. The ruling was not surprising in a sense. I personally thought it was going to be 5-2, but surprisingly it was 4-3. So we had a bipartisan decision. We had one of the Democrats that voted along with conservatives, saying that this law is unconstitutional. This is not going to hold up in federal court, and they know that, and that's why they ruled. They didn't rule on the merits of the Second Amendment with this law. They found the only way that they could rule in favor of this law in good conscience. With that 4-3 vote in favor to hold up this law, they made the decision based only on the grandfather clause. So the merits of the Second Amendment within that bill were not even talked about. So even Governor Pritzker knows this isn't going to be held up. He was talking to media and said something to the effect of, "I think there's a 30% chance that this is upheld in federal court." So they know this is unconstitutional. That's why they didn't rule on it based on the merits of the Second Amendment. And we're going to win this one in federal court.
Senator, when I asked the governor why he signed the measure enacting the gun and magazine ban, knowing that it was, not going to be upheld by the federal courts, he seemed to equivocate and say, well, that's because, we've got a Supreme Court that wants to put people in harm's way by upholding, the right for people to have, quote, weapons of war. Should the state be in the business of enacting laws that they know deep down are not going to withstand constitutional muster in the federal courts?
No, absolutely not. They shouldn't. And, if he doesn't like this court, then he should go back to the court in 2008 with the Heller versus D.C. decision. We've seen the same thing over and over again as far as decisions from the U.S. Supreme Court and the precedent set. This is not going to be held up. The Second Amendment says shall not be infringed, and we're going to see that again.
Senator, we also had on Saturday, on the heels of the Illinois Supreme Court upholding the gun and magazine ban, the governor signing the measure that allows for lawsuits against the firearms industry. And from everything from saying that, hey, they could be contributing to less safe public. They could also be sued for advertising to children using cartoons or caricatures, or advertising to paramilitary or militia activity that the law deems unlawful. You'd asked about this during committee. You spoke about it before it passed in opposition to it. Obviously, we've got a lawsuit now from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. They have a similar lawsuit against a similar law in California asking for a preliminary injunction. All of this dealing with things like the Deceptive Practices Act, but we also saw the state was struck down when it comes to allowing for lawsuits against crisis pregnancy centers. And the question really now seems to be, at least with this particular issue, not just Second Amendment rights and constitutionally protected, ability to do commerce with tools that are constitutionally protected. It's now a First Amendment issue when it comes to the pregnancy crisis centers, and now the measure that allows for lawsuits against the gun industry. What's happening here? Is it the Democrats wanting to make the place more safe? Because it doesn't seem like these laws are going after those who are committing violence. It seems to be wanting to go after those who are merely manufacturing and exercising their Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, Greg, you said it right there. I mean, this is an administration that is dead set on stripping away rights from people and, under the guise of safety and security. This isn't going to work. We've seen this. We've seen decisions like this in the past from the U.S. Supreme Court as far as suing gun manufacturers. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It's like suing suing a fork manufacturer because forks made people fat. It's ridiculous. It doesn't work. All this stuff is going to go to the Supreme Court, and most of it is going to be overturned. It's again, this is an administration that is dead set on trying to make their mark as being the most left administration in the country, and they're trying as hard as they can to do that.
But does this do anything to go after, the guys in Chicago who are spraying off bullets in the streets with dozens of people shot every other day? It seems.
No, it doesn't do anything at all because the people doing all the crime in Chicago, for the most part, are not law-abiding citizens. They don't have a FOID card. They don't go through a background check when they purchase a firearm. And the hypocrisy is that most of the crimes committed in Chicago, most of the murders with firearms, are firearms that they're not even trying to ban. Most of them are done with .22 caliber rounds that would still be legal under this so-called assault weapons ban. So this is just a media headline. This is trying to solidify the far left base, and moving forward, it's just not going to work.
State Senator Neil Anderson with us here with Springfield's Morning News. Something else that, of course, we're keeping an eye on here is how the implementation is going to go with the multi-occupancy gender-neutral bathrooms. One of several dozen bills the governor announced was signed on Friday. You spoke passionately about this and got some blowback from the other chamber when you shared your thoughts on how you'd react if you go into a restroom and your daughter's in there with a man, whether it's a man identifying a woman or not. It doesn't matter with this gender-neutral bathroom, multi-occupancy bathroom. Your thoughts on this being enacted?
Yeah, no, I spoke my mind, and I was being as honest as I could. This is causing more problems than it's solving. If you're a male, you go to the male bathrooms. If you're a female, you go to the female bathroom. This is just another way of trying to confuse people. Listen, I don't care who you are. I don't care what political affiliation you have. When it comes to especially kids in public restrooms, I think any red-blooded American person is not going to stand for a male going into a female bathroom, and I'm one of them. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen on my watch.
State Senator Neil Anderson, greatly appreciate you taking the time, and we'll definitely be talking with you soon. Anything big you see coming up for fall veto session? Believe it or not, but we've got some vetoes to possibly deal with. After the governor vetoed, I think he's got 3 vetoes now and 2 amendatory vetoes. How do you feel that veto session is going to play out?
Well, the veto during the veto session is going to be quick, but just like we said during budget time, we're going to go back for a supplemental budget because they figured out that, once again, as we pointed out, they are spending too much money. So we're going to have to figure that out, and they're going to try to run another bill to take more taxpayer dollars to pay for their reckless spending.
So tell me a little bit more about that if you can. How much are we talking here? And what's driving that?
Well, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things driving it, Greg. The things within the budget, as far as the expansion of Medicaid, all the things that we talked about during debate of saying we're spending too much. You're basing these dollars. They're predicated on the money that we got from the Fed during COVID. This money's running out, and we're going to see those final numbers here when we come back, and they're going to try to take more taxpayer dollars to pay for it instead of doing the more responsible thing and making some cuts.
All right, State Senator Neil Anderson, greatly appreciate it, and we'll definitely check back in soon. All right, be safe out there.
Thanks, Greg.